Perfect. Oh, hello. I didn't hear you enter my bedroom via camera. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this stream of conscious nightmare, or vlog, whatever you want to call it. I'm recording it right now, and I still don't know what to call it. That's just been the fun of this entire situation. All I have known from the very beginning was that I was going to do a video of some kind on Xenoblade Chronicles 2. And I guess it all starts with me beating the game a few days ago. I posted, if you follow me on social media, namely Twitter, Instagram, you know I've been posting a lot about Xenoblade Chronicles 2, from artwork that I've done, digital artwork like I'm working on, or just in comments about the game itself. And I've been kind of going back and forth on what I was going to do. That I didn't know what shape the eventual video about the topic would take, but I knew I was going to do one probably about 40, 50 hours in. I knew that was when I was positive I was going to do a video of some kind on Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and as time went on, as the number of hours increased, 40, 50, 60, 70, all the way up to the eventual 129 that I beat the game with, I was bullet pointing kind of ideas, like different topics of discussion to go over, and even as I was doing that, I'm writing these things down, like, okay, do I want to talk predominantly about the gacha system? Do I want to talk about the character design? Do I want to talk about the story? Do I want to talk about the Xenoblade franchise as a whole? I would bullet point these ideas, but every time I would try and sit down and write like a script on what I wanted to talk about, it would always just devolve into me not being able to fully hammer down exactly what I wanted to say. And here's how I solved my problem. I went back in time 5 years. It's an impressive skill that I have. So I went back in time, much like I did in the Final Fantasy VII Remake video that I did. I happened to go back and look at an old video that I did. And it's interesting the trajectory the old videos took between the Xenoblade video and the Final Fantasy VII video. If you didn't see the Final Fantasy VII video, my feelings are hurt, but I understand. I said in that video that I went back and I looked at a video I made 3 years prior on the original Final Fantasy VII. And I did a similar thing here, where I went back 5 years and I looked at a video I made on Xenoblade Chronicles 1. And both of those original videos are very similar in that they both skew pretty negative about the games. Final Fantasy VII less so. But I straight up, very inarticulately and not with much eloquence in the Xenoblade video, said that I just straight up didn't like the game. And I don't think that's really true, because while my memory on that game has waned in the prevailing 5 years, I said in the video that I liked the story, I liked the characters, but I had major issues with the level design and aspects of the gameplay. And thinking back on that now 5 years later, I do think that is still the case. I think the entire franchise has had a major problem with and this is prevalent in Xenoblade 1, Xenoblade X, and Xenoblade 2. They have excellent ideas for concepts. They have great concept design. They have great art design, but the problem comes in the actual level execution, how these maps work from a gameplay perspective, how you interact with them, how you move about them, how the enemies move about. That has been the franchise's major problem. And I don't think I really articulated that well in that original video, but the overall point that I'm making in going back to them was that even though they both, Final Fantasy VII and Xenoblade 1, skewed negative in the videos I did on them, they ended on a positive, almost optimistic note. In the case of Final Fantasy VII, I said that even though there were aspects of the original game that I didn't care for, I was still excited to play Final Fantasy VII Remake. And similarly for Xenoblade Chronicles 1, I said that even though there were aspects of the game that I didn't like, I felt that at the time, what was going to be the next game, Xenoblade X, I figured being on a more powerful console like the Wii U, and can we just take a second to marvel at what a wonderful sentence that is, sitting here in 2020, the more powerful Wii U. I was excited for Xenoblade X. And now here I am, having just put an ungodly amount of hours into Xenoblade Chronicles 2, courtesy of the pandemic. I don't think I've put this much time into a game I have found to be average, or at best, or good, or I don't know. I don't know. I just didn't feel fully rewarded. I don't feel like I've put that much time into something that I felt disappointed in aspects of since, like, Destiny 1, maybe Mass Effect, and I think Mass Effect Andromeda is probably the next one that comes to mind. But regardless, I've had to figure out this entire time, what am I gonna say? What am I gonna do in regards to Xenoblade Chronicles 2? How do I make this entertaining? And I'm at the point where I just don't know, because if I were to write a script, it would take me months to get it where I want it and to talk about it in a way that I would feel happy with, because I can script. Oh, I can totally script some stuff, and I think I could get some pretty nifty jokes in there too. I think I could get some pretty funny material, at least until I look at the video a couple weeks from now and find out that it was never funny to begin with, because that's just how my sense of humor works. So I've decided what we're going to do is, because I cannot answer this question, and I kept asking myself it every hour I put into this game, I was asking myself this question out loud like a crazy person: is this a good game? And as much as I wanted to talk about the gacha system specifically, or the characters specifically, or any individual element of the game, I've been able to kind of argue with myself about it and never reach a full conclusion. So that's what we're here to do today. You guys are going to watch my stupid brain implode in real time as I try and figure out the answer to whether or not Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is a good game. Okay, so with that little intro out of the way, I guess Chapter 1, some context. Let me take you into a very, very, very brief, I have a tendency to be rambly, let me take you into a very brief kind of idea of how my relationship with the Xenoblade franchise. It starts off, I've already told you my past with Xenoblade 1. I am, as negative as I am actually interested to play the definitive edition of Xenoblade Chronicles 1 on the Switch. I'll probably do that at some point this year. I'm not going to promise I'll make a video on it, but I may. I'm not sure. We'll find out. But that's my history with Xenoblade 1. Is there were aspects of it I liked. I thought the story was great. I liked the characters, but I had major problems with the level design. And also being on the Wii, the controller, I didn't have a Pro controller at the time. I didn't feel like investing in one at the time. So I played it on a Wii Remote and Nunchuck. And being on the Wii was a problem because it just was not a good control scheme. And I think the elements of the art design that I really liked were muddied by the just a lack of power that the Wii had to fully take advantage of it. Then we move on to Xenoblade X. I got that game immediately. I got the special edition. I probably should have found it. I know it's in this house somewhere. I have the special edition little box that has the big robot on it, and I was stoked for that. I was like, oh man, I was like, if they can fix the problems I had with Xenoblade 1 for Xenoblade X, and I got this, I love mecha. I'm super into mecha. I have played and watched things that I would not watch otherwise or play otherwise, specifically because there's mecha in it. Like, I made a passing joke about in my anime seasoning video where I talked about the studio, not even a studio, the toy company Takara Tomy and their toy line Shinkalion. I would have never watched Shinkalion on my own because it's just some dumb kid show, but it's about like bullet trains that turn into mechs, and that's the only reason I ever checked that out. Anyway, I'm super into mechs, and I was like, I just want that mecha, and it took me 40 plus hours to get that mech, and the game still had no real, I didn't feel like it had any direction. Like, I'm thinking about it now, like, I played Xenoblade Chronicles 1 5 years ago, and I still have some memories of it, specifically the story and aspects of the gameplay that stood out to me that I remember not liking, just because that's how this shit works. Xenoblade X, I could not tell you anything about the level design outside of maybe the opening, like, the first, like, city you go to, or the hub city. Like, I have vague memories of that, as well as the character Elma, and the only reason I even remember her is because she shows up in Xenoblade 2. And I think if I didn't have that recency bias of playing Xenoblade 2 and her appearing in it, I wouldn't even be able to tell you. I remember that you get to create your character, your protagonist character, and mine was voiced by Bryce Papenbrook, and I named him Mr. Goglins. And he was a man desperate to get cool. And that's all I remember from Xenoblade X. I remember getting the mech and feeling like it didn't really add anything, and it wasn't even worth using half the time, because there was, like, if I remember correctly, there were some, like, weird gameplay elements of, like, how long you could use it, and, like, the power not really feeling more powerful, and I remember not really caring for it. So I stopped playing that game. I never beat Xenoblade X, if you even can. I don't know. I might... Like, I'm definitely going to be playing the Xenoblade 1 Definitive Edition. I do not know if I would go back to Xenoblade X. I might, just for shits and gigs, or the fact that, you know, I've now done 2 videos on the franchise and figure might as well talk about every aspect of it in outrageous detail. But yeah, so that's where I stopped with that. And then I saw... whatever year it was, the reveal trailer, I believe it was at E3, of Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and I remember getting pretty hyped. Even though you'll understand, just based off of what I've told you, my interactions with the only 2 games to have existed at this point were both ultimately negative. So why was I excited for Xenoblade 2? It's because I thought it was, third time's a charm. Third time's the charm, right? Because now it's this, whoever this little blue boy is, that's gotta be, he's our main character, right? He's the main character. Like, he's gotta be part of a story. He's got hopes, he's got dreams, he's got ambitions. The best part of Xenoblade 1 was the story and the characters. So if they're focusing on story and character again, this is bound to be great. And they can fix the aspects of the gameplay that I've had problems with, because now it's on a more powerful console like the Switch, which I'm sure when I come back to review Xenoblade Chronicles 3 in 6 years or whatever, and I look at that sentence of the more powerful Switch, that'll be hilarious in hindsight as well. But I was very excited for Xenoblade Chronicles 2, because I thought this was going to be the one to finally get it all right. This one wouldn't miss the mark. And then I bought it eagerly day one, and I think I was playing it alongside a bunch of other games, and I wasn't really dedicating my full attention to it. And I didn't think the story was strong enough to push me through in the same way it was for Xenoblade 1. So I didn't think the story was as strong, and I had major issues with how it played. I think there were a lot of systems that, because I didn't really pay good enough attention the first time, I think I missed out on how a lot of them worked, and there were some things that I couldn't figure out, or things that I didn't really feel like putting the time into it because I felt it was a waste. So I just didn't bother, and not bothering really screwed me over the further I went into the game, because I just was not in a position to really succeed. So, fast forward to 2020. We're finally at modern times. This is a very long chapter 1, but like I said, this is important. If you're going to watch my brain explode, I'm going to give you all the information on it. So, that takes us to 2020. And since I started doing, the screen has gone black, but since I've started to do more art myself, more digital art, fan art, that I've been posting on my social media accounts, I have, in trying to get better at that, I've started following a lot of other fan artists, digital artists, just to see things that they do that I might want to incorporate into my own work. Which is a friendly way of saying steal. And it just so happens that a bulk of the fan artists that I followed around the same time were posting fan art from 2 franchises in particular. Mega Man Battle Network, which fuck yeah, that's really the Mega Man Battle Network stuff's why I followed him in the first place, because I fucking love Battle Network. I have the complete works right over there, and the Star Force one is on the way. I love both of those. I would love a Legacy collection, please. I know that Z collection Capcom sold, so you better throw your boy a bone. Or give me a brand new HD Battle Network. Give me Mega Man Battle Network 7. Put it on the Switch. Have it be HD. Or, you know, I've said this before. Please re-release the anime, the original one, or Access or Beast. Just put it all into a Blu-ray collection for me, because I can't keep watching old episodes in 480p. So, por favor. But the other franchise that these same fan artists do a lot of is Xenoblade Chronicles 2. And as I started seeing more and more fan art, I was like, yeah, you know, why did I ever stop playing that game? I don't think I gave that game a fair shake. And because I'm quarantined and I've got the time, I'm going to put the time in, and I'm going to make sure I play Xenoblade Chronicles 2 correctly. I'm going to do everything that the game recommends. And I'm going to beat it. I'm going to beat Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So, 130 fucking hours later, I beat Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which I guess can finally take us to today, and it's been a couple days since I beat it, but I think I can finally, we can move on to Chapter 2, which is, this is where the fun begins. What did I like about it? Let's start with what I liked, okay? I really, really admired this game's combat system, in a way. I liked the moment-to-moment combat. I liked there are a good amount of systems in place, but not too many to overwhelm you. It's very complex, but very easy to understand. I liked how it mixed the elements, like fire, water, earth, and so on. I like how it mixed those with weapon types, and the mixture of those is how you got your classes. And by mixing and matching, you can truly create a bunch of different combos. Obviously, there are some that are way more effective, and there are some that are just plain overpowered. And if you can finagle your way into getting the exact combination that has, I think it's break, topple, launch, smash. If you can get that foursome going, you can utterly destroy anything you're going to come into contact with. Like, I got to a point where I had a good enough combination where of characters, and you know what, let me just stop myself. I'm going to talk about this game as if you understand what I'm talking about, because I feel like if I spend too much time explaining stuff, it will be here for an eternity. So, for the sake of brevity and for the sake of time, I am just going to talk about this game as if I am talking to myself, who has already played it, and I'm just explaining it because, I don't know, maybe I don't know, I lost my memory of the last 2 months, which doesn't that sound wonderful? Anyway, so if you get the right combination of rare blades, dumb Chris, then you'll really be unstoppable. There was a point where I was maybe level 70, and I was able to take out a lot higher leveled monsters, specifically because I had this really, really good combination going. But I did like the combat. I thought the combat was fun to experiment with, and once you get enough rare blades to where you can actually kind of mix and match and not feel like you have to kind of pigeonhole yourself into one specific combination, then I think the game is great. That's when it's at its best. And that truly is what kept me... That was the reason I played 130 hours of this game, even though I was infuriated by other aspects of the game. The fact that the combat worked so well and that I liked a lot of aspects of it, that is why I kept playing. That really and truly is, because I think if the combat had been worse, I would have eventually done what I did the first time. I would have gotten incredibly annoyed, and this has happened to me at other points in the last couple of years. I think I recently talked about, I don't remember which video it was, but I had talked about a game that I had played and just decided to stop playing because it was God Eater. It was God Eater. I had played about 10 hours and I was just completely unfulfilled. And I discussed in a video that it was totally okay, that I was just like, no, fuck it, this game is obnoxious, I'm done. Actually, a couple years ago, I did it for Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet, and yeah, I've played Sword Art Online. Because that was going to be a video idea I had where I was going to talk about the Sword Art franchise, and I started to play that game, and I think the more I played it, the more I was just like, it is not worth it to talk about Sword Art. If you want somebody to dunk on Sword Art, check out any of the stuff Mother's Basement has done on it, or plenty of other YouTubers. That is not my environment, and I don't feel like degrading myself by playing Sword Art Online. So, to that. But I figured that would be, if the combat had been worse in Xenoblade 2, that's the way it would have gone. I would have given up again. But, here we are now. I did play through it. I did beat it. And now we talk about the bad. Here's the bad thing. Is this chapter 3? There's only been 3 chapters, and I'm struggling to keep up. Okay. So I really like the combat, but I had said, you might have noticed there was a little hesitant inflection when I said I liked the combat. I believe I said in a way. Because the bad element, there is one major bad element of Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and it is so bad that it infects like a shitty virus. It infects. I realize maybe talking about viruses isn't the great thing to do right now, but it's a bad thing, okay? It's bad. And that is the gacha system. Okay? Now, I have not really delved into the world of mobile gaming. I do not like to game on my phone. Like, I think I've gotten maybe 1 or 2 over the years. The most involved game I've ever gotten on my phone is Fire Emblem Heroes, which I talked about a few years ago. I did a video on it saying that I liked it, and I liked it because it's got Fire Emblem characters in it, and it's got, and it uses that game, some of the gameplay mechanics in a very stripped down way. And I think in terms of predatory mobile games, it was a little more, it was easier to stomach because it wasn't as overt. Which is why I didn't mind it, and it really is a game that when I was playing it, I was doing it for, a few minutes here and there. I would just, check it up every now and then, because I was doing it on a work phone, like a really smart boy, I didn't work at that job anymore, so I lost that phone. I didn't have that phone anymore, so no more Fire Emblem Heroes for your boy. And I never put it on my personal phone because I didn't want to. Once I was just like, I don't even feel like searching for the login anymore. I'm good. Like, what is that other one Nintendo did? Dragalia Lost, I think. I think I downloaded that and played it one time, and then I was just like, nah, I'm good. So I don't really play a lot of those types of games because I got kind of an addictive personality, so I don't want to get caught by any of them. But as much as I hate, I do not like that system. Like, to pay $5 for an opportunity to get something that you want, it's a lottery. It's a lottery, and I don't like that for video games. I don't like that system. I feel it's lazy. I feel like it cheapens the medium. And that's just me. And we don't have time to get into everything I hate about mobile gaming and microtransactions and how the industry works. That's not what this video is for. But the point I want to make is that a predatory mobile game gacha system is antithetical to a sprawling story-based RPG, which is what Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is. It doesn't have a freemium economy. It doesn't have an economy for the gacha system. It's not constantly pressuring you to purchase fake diamonds or money in the game to buy what you need to get the rare blades, which is what the gacha system is based around. And in theory, so this is why my brain has been exploding. Because I've been trying to figure out why number one, it was even put in this game, why they thought it was a good idea, what purpose did it serve, and two, why the people who approved it weren't sent to the fucking gulags, because it's awful. I have looked, and I couldn't take the time to explain the intricate math involved, but there's a pretty sizable algorithm at play that determines when you bond with a core crystal in the game, whether you're going to get a common blade or you're going to get one of these specially designed. We've hired other artists from all over Japan to create specific characters for us. One of those rare blades, there's an algorithm at play, and I've never seen something so intricately designed to be this shit before, without any compensation for the developers. I would understand almost if there were an economy based around getting people to part with their money to acquire the rare blades. Like, oh, you have a low chance of getting one because we want you to spend more money on the legendary core crystals that give you a better opportunity of getting one. And if you're tired of bonding with 100 common crystals and getting garbage, then you'll want to pony up a few bucks to get one that's basically a guarantee. I would understand. I would hate it, but I would understand it if that was the idea. Or if you're just like, hey, if you want to circumvent the gacha system entirely because you feel like the rates are low, you can buy the specific blades separately. Again, that would be awful. I would hate it, but at least I would understand the sleaze. But nothing like that exists. It is just in here to be annoying. And that's just the case with everything that is bad about this game. Every single thing that I came across where I was like, this is bad game design. It really and truly is. If you're going to put something bad in the game, if you're going to put something annoying in the game, it is usually for a reason like that. Because the developer the publisher wants to make more money, somebody wants to make more money somewhere, or it's just in there to annoy on purpose. This is just annoying. It begins and ends at annoying. Okay, so let me... Here's... See, this is why my brain is... I'm still trying to comprehend it, and I just cannot. Let me take a breath. Okay, let me reorient myself. So when I first started playing, okay, I said I was going to go about it the right way. I got a couple rare blades fairly quickly. You get a few via the story, okay? The game does an okay job as you go through the story of kind of forcing some of them in your direction. I don't know if this is the case, and again, I've done kind of rudimentary research. Like, I've spent a lot of time looking at the data mine, but I didn't look into other elements. So in my first playthrough, as I was going through the game, I really need to start muting my phone. I'm going to mute my phone right now, and I'm going to talk as if I'm not doing this. So as I went through my first playthrough, you get Pyra to start, and then Nia joins your party, and you get Tora. Your first real opportunity to bond with a rare blade, for me in both playthroughs, was Boreas. I love him. He's a big fatty. He's adorable. I love his voice, and he's great. So I got him first both times. And then, I got some common ones, got a lot of common ones, ignored it, and then I got a couple more rare ones, and I was like, okay, alright, this is working for me. But as I continued to play, that's when I started to really become aware of just how miserable this gacha system is. For the sake of easy math, and I'll post links in the description to the data mining algorithms that I found. But for the sake of this video and for the sake of easy math, and from what I remember looking at it, a lot of blades, the drop rates are so abominably low. It is literally an insult. Like, I felt, as I was looking at the data mine, I felt insulted by how low these drop rates are. And the fact that you get something called rare core crystals and legendary core crystals, and it doesn't even really up your chances that much of getting a rare blade, it's an insult. It truly is. Because here's the thing. The rare blades are cool. Like, it's such a cool concept that they went out and they got different artists. Like, they got, I'm gonna blank on names here, but one of the artists from Tales of Vesperia did a character design, did Godfrey. Nomura did some designs. They got the Sword Art Online guy, did one of the DLC blades, but they got these different artists, and they did all this work, and I'm going to get into the designs in a second, but, well, probably more than a second, but you got all these different artists to create these different characters for you, which I think is such a really cool idea. I honestly, I think that's a great idea when you're when you have this, like, new IP, which, you know, it's not really a new IP, but you're creating all these new characters for a game, and you want to show off the work of your contemporaries by putting it in your game. I think that's such a cool idea. Be like, look at you like this character design? Well, it was designed by this guy or this woman, and you can check out their other work and other projects that they've been affiliated with. And that's a great way to, like, you know, promote people you know, or promote the industry, and be like, look at all the great artists that work here, you know, because the game industry, for as much as it loves to brag about being a collaborative team effort, a lot of the time it always seems to come back on one person, the director. Like, Fallout 76 is a complete fucking disaster, right? Who gets the blame for that? Todd. Todd gets the blame for Fallout 76 being a complete mess, because he's the face. If anything's wrong with a Quantic Dream game, that's David Cage and all his emotions. That's who we blame. We blame the one guy. Fable didn't live up to expectations. We blame Peter Molyneux. Okay, because there's always one face of the game. And when you when you do something like this, where you have all these different artists creating characters for you that the player will get to interact with and learn about and see consistently as they use them, that's gonna promote different people, which I think is an actual collaborative effort. So I love the idea. But the fact that that really nice thing is hidden behind, it's not even hidden behind a paywall. It's hidden behind an algorithm. It's hidden behind an algorithm and a really bad drop rate. And I get, okay, like, I understand that technically the blades are the weapons. That's the weapon system. Their blade are the blades. And you could be like, oh, it's just like, you know, you get like a legendary loot drop in an MMO. There's a difference between getting a sword, right? Like unlocking a rare sword that only comes to you in like you know, you get like a 2% chance of this specific boss dropping this specific weapon. Fine. That's fine. That's a sword. Okay? That's a weapon. The blades are characters. Blocking the player from getting them is hindering them from experiencing actual story content. I ended the game, I did not get 2 blades. 2 blades I did not get. I didn't get Finch, and I didn't get Adenine, and I think it was because I got both of them in a previous playthrough, and I found that out looking at the data mine too, which this is another thing that's fucking disgusting. There are 5 different save files you can have in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, so when you start, it puts you in either A, B, C, D, or E, and depending which one you get will affect the drop rates of different blades. And so I got Finch and Adenine very early in my old playthrough, but I did not get them in this one. And there were some, it took until just about the end of the game before I even got them. And the way the game works with how you unlock their character-specific side missions, much like any other RPG, like I remember Mass Effect does this. Like, you have to build up a certain, like, you have to get to a certain point in the story to unlock character specific missions, and that's how it works. Like if you want them, like in Mass Effect 2, that was like a major aspect. Like if you had to have the character's trust, and you earned that by using them and completing their character specific side quests. But because the gacha system is so bad, you could conceivably, like I'll tell you this, I was just about to enter the final boss room, the final boss fight against Malos. Right before I was about to enter that room, I obtained a rare core crystal. And I just decided to bond with it, and I was expecting to get another common blade because it had happened so many times. And I got one of the blades who the GameFAQs Xenoblade fandom community has said is one of the harder ones to get. And that's Zenobia. I got her right before I entered the final boss room, and I was like, shit, okay. Well, I got her, but you have to do a lot of stuff before you can unlock their side mission, and I found out hers would actually not take very long at all. So I was like, screw it, okay, I can I can find something to do to unlock hers. It wouldn't take too much more time. I wouldn't have to go very far out of my way to unlock it, so I did it. But there were a couple that I never got to finish because in order to build up their trust, you have to spend a lot of time with them. And at the point of the game I was at, in order to level up their trust, it would have taken forever to do it. So I never finished Newt's specifically. I never finished Newt's side quest because you needed to get her trust up to... the trust has a number, so you need 9,800 trust in order to unlock the one specific skill she needs to complete her side quest. And that's just... the fact that there was a character I didn't get until 125 hours into the game, when I've been spending all this time obtaining these core crystals and bonding with them and trying to use the boosters that they give you to determine the element, and for it to not work so many times... It was offensive to me. I was sitting in my chair on my couch offended by this game. I bought the expansion pass, okay? Because I was interested in getting the rare blades that they gave you as part of them. They give you Corvin, which was designed by the sword art guy. One called Crosette, who I really liked. I liked using her a lot. I don't, off the top of my head, remember who designed her, but I liked her, and I liked Poppy Buster. I thought they were cool, and I wanted them, and I was like, you know what, $30, and it came with the Torna Golden Country. I was like, I might play that, maybe. We'll see, I might go into that, I might delve into that, see what that's all about, why not? But, the game gives you a ton of items when you get that DLC pass. It gives you a lot of items as well. Some new missions, some new side quests, whatever. And I was like, sick, that's what I need, because completing side quests with certain blades engaged, that's how you're going to get the most trust points, even though it barely gives you, like, you need 9,800. Well, completing this side quest will give you 200. Fuck. There's a lot, you know, it is a lot, and especially when certain missions take a long time, because you need to find 10 of one specific vegetable that exists in some part of the world. I spent more time on the Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Wikia than I have on any other website outside of YouTube in the past couple of months. Just because I've been trying to look up, I was like, I really need to find my father. And the only way I could do that is if you find me 6 pomegranates. And I'm like, okay, where the fuck are these pomegranates? They're in one specific drop point in the stomach of one of the countries that you go to. You go to this one specific area, this one specific collection point. If you use that and you have somebody who has level 3 botany, maybe you'll get 2 of them per drop. Great, I would have never figured that out. I would have never figured that out playing on my own. Because it's completely random. This game is RNG based, and it's terrible. Because the best games teach you what to do, okay? If you go to an area, and let's say you go to an area of an open world, and you see a bunch of level 80 monsters and you're level 12. That's clearly something it's saving for later in the game. I'm not supposed to explore that area right now because I'll get killed. That is how... I'm gonna do a little tangent here, as if there aren't enough in this. I was doing chapters in the beginning. We're at subclause 84 at this point. I'm doing my best here. I don't really care for open world designs a lot because I feel like video games, I think the best... I care a lot about stories. If you just, like... If you're playing Minecraft and you're just... The whole point of that game is to just fuck around and build stuff and, you know, just to do whatever you want. Like, that kind of game, I don't mind it. That's not the type of game I like to play, but I get it for that type of game. But when you're creating a story-based game... you know, where character and the world and the interactions between them is such an important focus, you need to be focused. I think it is and I'm not talking about length. Keep that in mind. I'm not talking about length. I am talking about focus. I am talking about pacing. I am talking about challenge. If there's a bunch of different areas that you can go to, if you can explore an entire map right from the word go, like let's say like a Just Cause game. I've played one of those. There's certain areas you can go anywhere you want, but there are certain strongholds and certain parts of the map that are going to be more difficult to complete until you've progressed further in the game. You've unlocked more weaponry, you've improved your health, you've improved your skills. Some games just lock off parts of the map entirely, like you can't even go there until you're a certain level. Some of them do that. Yeah, it might break immersion, but who cares? That's one way you can go about it. But if you are going to have your map be accessible, every single aspect from the word go, you're going to make certain areas that you don't want players to go to because they could just keep going to them and getting killed. You're going to put harder stuff there, and that's going to deter them from going to that area, right? Makes sense. And what Xenoblade has at its disposal is that you can walk into an area and it says in bright red what the level of the enemy is. And most areas, the enemy leveling, you would assume, would be fairly comparable. No. And that's been, when I said earlier, I'm doing callbacks even though it's stream of conscious, not bad. That's why I said I was never really a fan of the execution of the level design, because there is nothing worse, and it annoyed me every time, when the game would send me to an area as part of the story, and it is nowhere near the type of area I should be in at that point. Early in the game, now I spent a good amount of time doing side stuff, so even, I was pretty much, I was at every single point, I was far over leveled to the story. By at minimum 5 levels above whatever boss monster I was fighting. I was about 5 levels above it, which I did on purpose. So I never had much of a problem with the story or fighting any of the enemies in the story aspects, but even still, I was doing it pretty early in the story where I think the game anticipated you would be about probably around level 30 is where you're supposed to be. There's a part of the game where it's like, here's the area you gotta go to. And you go to it, and it's forced you into an area full of monsters that are level 70. And you're level 30. I was like, I put extra time. I was supposed to be level 30. I was level 35, 36. And all of the enemies I'm fighting, and all of the enemies that are chasing me right now are level 80, level 70 to 80. Why the fuck would you force me? Why would you railroad me to go this one place where all of these, like anything I've ever learned about playing video games would say, this isn't an area you should be yet. You need to leave here. This isn't the way you're supposed to go. So as soon as you walk up to that area, you see all these level 70 enemies, you're like, okay, this isn't the way I'm supposed to go. And because these maps are so poorly designed, not only from a way that the map is physically set up in the game, but the way the map is drawn, like when you pull up a mini map in the game and you're just like, I can't even fucking read this thing because there's multiple layers to it, and a lot of games, if you're gonna have a multi-layered map, you can pull it up and you can scroll by floor. Like the Tales of games from Xillia 2 or Xillia 1 onward have had map systems in them where you can pull up the map, you have your mini map, but if you need to see it blown up, you can use the right analog stick and you can scroll between floor 1, 2, 3, so on. You can do that by height, and it makes it a lot easier to read. It makes it a lot easier to figure out where you're going. The maps of Xenoblade are so dense with stuff and have so much crap hidden that you're trying to figure out where to go. You could spend, like, there were times where I spent like a good amount of time trying to figure out exactly where this one spot on the map was. Like, I'm standing right on top of it, and the little blue dot at the top says, oh, it's 10 below you. 10 feet, 10 meters, whatever. Probably meters. It's 10 meters below you. And I'm like, I'm in a field. How do I get underground? And you try and look at your map, and it's like, oh, what of these squiggly lines indicates here's the opening? And it's like, oh, there's a hole in the tree. I was, well, how was I gonna... You know how you find it? You go to google.com, and you say, you pull up your phone, as I did 1,000+ times in this game, and you say, where is blah, 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 Xenoblade Chronicles 2? And there it is. There's 12 other people who have had this same question. And if a bunch of people have the same question on how do I progress in your game, you have designed a bad game. So anyway, back to the gacha system. I needed to go on that little tangent. Back to the gacha system. A lot of content gets hidden from you because of the gacha system. Like I said, there were 2 blades I didn't even get, which by proxy meant there's 2 side missions, 2 character-based missions that I never got to enjoy. It's just bad. And the other aspects of how you progress your characters to level up their trust in the first place is also stupid. Because so the way the game is set up is you have an affinity chart, right? And the way you level up your blades is like you have to complete like a certain task will unlock further aspects of their affinity chart. Usually, for the most part, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be you start off, they have affinity level 1, and you have to get like 400 trust points to get them to level 2, and increasing them out up until nearly 10,000. Yeah, that's great. You get like a rare blade at the end of the game, and you need 5,000 trust to unlock their mission. It's like, well, I guess I'm not getting that. Oh, I really am bothered. But some of them aren't so bad. Like just moves that they have that they use in fights. Like, for example, some characters have attacks that are stronger against aquatic enemies. Okay, so I'm going to use this character and I'm going to fight a bunch of water monsters, and doing that will unlock the next level of whatever skills I have available to me in this level of the affinity chart. But then some of them are just like, defeat 7 of this one specific monster. And it's just like... And they all have dumb names, like find and defeat 5 Fabble Boofas in order to progress. And so you have to go to the Xenoblade Wiki, and you have to look up Fabble Boofas, and find out, oh yeah, they're in this one specific island in the Leferian archipelago. And so you'll have to keep respawning to that one specific, like, use the fast travel to travel from the island you're on to go to the island you're on to respawn more Fabble Boofas so you can fight 5 of them and unlock that skill. And it's just, there's such a stupid way to progress. And the fact that your trust increases so slowly, it's faster in some cases to just send them away into the mercenary mode side quest stuff. You'll get more trust than you will actively having someone at your side fighting with you. Doesn't that just make a whole lot of fucking sense? It's like, you know what? I really trust you to be at my side and watch my back at all times. I just want you to know that's how much I trust you. And the Blade's just like, yeah, sure, whatever, I guess. And then he like turns and he's like, you, on the other hand, I am gonna send you away for the next hour and 20 minutes because I want to own the fish market in my hometown. And the only way I can do that is if I buy everything in that fish market, but they won't have all of their product available unless you disappear for 2 hours. Go away. And that's more trust. More trust is built from that. I'm almost done. I'm gonna wrap this up soon, I promise. If you've made it through this whole thing, gold star. And gold star to Chris of the future, who has to watch all of this in editing. And if you do anything in editing, I will be impressed. You of the past will be impressed. Thumbs up, my friend. The character design. Let me talk about the character design. I'm gonna try and make this brief because I do need to wrap this up because there's only so much life in batteries and SD cards. Okay, the character design. If you follow me on the grams, I had pulled up for a little visual thing. I had pulled up a drawing I have already completed, and I've already posted it on Instagram and Twitter. I did a little redesign, an alternate costume of the female lead, Pyra, or Homura in Japanese. And I'm so sorry. A little quick tangent. One of the first things I did in playing Xenoblade 2 is I found and downloaded the Japanese voice pack because it was free. And yeah, I went with the Japanese voice acting because the English one it's not good. It's not good. I understand that some of the charm of Xenoblade 1 was the British European voice actors was charming. The new ones, I could not listen to that. I couldn't listen to that. It was easier to listen to everything in Japanese. There was less puns, at least from what I could ascertain. Like, the puns were still there as part of the subs. So I was like, okay, that's whatever. I can accept that. But yeah, the voice acting is... I've always had a problem with this when you have young characters and they're voiced by people who make no effort to sound younger. They just sound like their regular mid to late 30s selves. I don't care for that. It sounds weird. And two of the main characters in Xenoblade 2 have voices like that, and I just could not take... I would not be able to take 130 hours of Anka Shot! And, yeah, his accent... It's not his accent, it's his voice. The way he speaks. His voice acting. I wouldn't be able to listen. And Nia's worse. Like, Nia's like a little, 14-year-old girl, and they found some, 40-year-old Scottish lady to play her, and I just do not understand how that process was done. I don't like to critique voice acting, because I could not do half as good. So, I don't like to critique it, but I couldn't listen to it, so I downloaded it in Japanese, and the voices make a lot more sense. Rex sounds like a 15-year-old kid instead of a 35-year-old British man. And Nia sounds like a 15-year-old girl and not a 40-year-old Scottish lady. So, so I did that. I did do that. But anyway, some of the English voices are fine. Like, Pyra and Mithra are fine. Some of the rare blades are fine. But it is interesting seeing their names and then hearing the characters say their Japanese names. So they're like Homura and Hikari, and I think Rock is Suzaku and Pandoria is Saika, and so on and forthwith. I better hurry before I run out of steam. But anyway, the character design of Pyra, I didn't feel like like, if we want to talk about what costume design and character design is ultimately meant to do, it should go hand in hand with their personality. Like, a costume in a lot of ways is another representation of a character's personality, where you can look at them and be like, and kind of ascertain bits and pieces of who they are. Like, if you look at this design of Pyra, where she's, like, partially got armor, she's got soft facial features, you know, kind of glowing red hair. It's obvious she's fire-based because she wears a lot of red and pink, so she's got, like, the fire element in her, right? Some of those elements make sense, but then she's wearing these, you know, like, I stole these hot pants from, like, a wrestler, and that's that's what I wear. Hers is probably, like, stands out because you see her the most, where, like, that design is crazy. But then there's other characters you come across. You see it in the rare blades, where you're just like, oh dear. Oh dear. And it's a shame, because some of the character designs are great. Like I said, I already said earlier, I like Boreas. I like Godfrey a lot. I like Percival. I like Adenine. I really wish I'd have gotten her. I like her. I like Azami. But some of them I find to be, I was like, okay, you just drew a very complex bikini. This is a complicated bathing suit that you've drawn, and you just have a bathing suit with accoutrements. Like, that's all you could come up with for this character? I find the younger characters, the way they are designed a lot is very, very questionable to me. Very iffy. And I get, I'm not playing devil's advocate for it. It in a lot of instances is gross. Okay? Like, I understand if you want to put some characters in here who are younger, whatever. If you want to put in some blades who are younger kids, who appear as younger kids, that's fine. If you do that, just be tasteful. Just be tasteful. It's all you have to be. But there's always loopholes, and there's always Thermian arguments. It's like, oh, no. There's a reason why they appear the way they do. That's it. There's an explanation in games why they don't wear no clothes. You can't even really look at it, though. That's just how they choose to appear. You can't find that iffy. No, yes I can. Yes I can, and I do. Some of them, it's just like weird. Like, you don't have to do upskirts of the one that looks like a little 9-year-old. That's weird. That's weird. You don't do that. Okay, just don't do that. That's not being a prude. That's just like, you don't do that. And as simple as that. It's just, I'm gonna move away from this topic. It's just even thinking about it makes me feel ugh. So we circle back. After all of this, after over an hour of who even knows what I've talked about, we get to the ultimate point. Iffy in aspects, character design and costume design. Bad level design in a lot of areas, even though conceptually they're very interesting. The fact that the worlds are all like gigantic monsters that people just live on, and the different areas you go to are different parts of the body, and like there's certain areas you can go to and you can actually see like the monster itself moving around in the distance. Like there's for example Gormott. Like if you're in the main field of Gormott, you can look and you can see, because it's like a four-legged beast and it's like walking, you can see its head and its tail as you're exploring the fields. Like if you look in either direction, you can see that, and I think that's really, really cool. And there's certain elements of the world building that I think are really, really interesting, but interacting with these levels and trying to navigate them is not very good, and the enemy placement is not very good, and the gacha system is an honest to goodness, it's a crime, It's a crime. The fact that you can get something called a legendary core crystal, I think I didn't say this. When I bought that DLC, it gave me like 30 legendary core crystals, and I'm thinking, here we go, I'm going to get all the rest of the rare blades just because I bought this. And that was like, oh, there's that economy I was talking about. No, I got 2. 2 out of 30. And it's because a legendary core crystal will give you 3 times. It's 3 times more likely for you to get a rare blade, but when the one you need has a 0.5% chance, 0.5, not even a full percent chance of appearing, 3 times 0.5. You couldn't do me one better. So yeah, it's 3 times, 0.5% more likely that you'll get the rare blade you're looking for. Gee, thanks, but don't make sure you're wearing the right equipment for luck, because that could up it another % or 2. You know, the most you're gonna get, we might give you 30% at most, but you got to go through the ringer in order to even get that high. And if you use too many boosters, it'll go down. Actually, if you use a booster, it'll go down. Seriously, the gacha system, crime. I honestly hope, you know what, I always tell people, follow your dreams. If you dream of making video games, follow that dream. Start off, you know, make a game, make a video game, because there's stuff out there, anybody can make a video game these days. And our definition of what constitutes interactive entertainment is constantly changing and constantly including more and more ideas. And there's so many interesting things that people can do. So if your dream is to make video games, fucking make a video game. But if you make this anything like this gacha system, follow your dreams, but don't follow this dream. Don't make more. Don't make any more video games, because you're not a game developer. You're a meanie. You're a big jerk who likes to waste people's time. And I don't know who wasted your time as a child to put you in this mindset where you're like, I'm gonna just ruin everybody else's day now. But I'm sorry for whatever they did to you. Please stop. Please stop, because we don't need this and we don't want this. So, there you go. Is Xenoblade Chronicles 2 a good game? Final chapter. No. No, it isn't. It is, there are elements of it that are good. There are things about it I liked. The gameplay does carry it for a little bit, but the bad elements are so pervasive. That's really what it is. That gacha system is so pervasive, and it really does hamper a lot of other elements of the game. Like, if you want, like say you get a character where you want them to be full on, I want this character, like Nia, like I want you to be a healer. I never used Nia in her blade form, by the way, outside of the ones where the game forced me to, and maybe a little bit after that. I had her in her regular driver form because she was in my party the entire game. Why would I switch it out? Stupid Xenoblade trying to throw in a monkey wrench to ruin my plans. No! You say no. So, anyway, if you wanted Nia to be a full-on healer, right? I only want rare blades that are healers, so she can be a master healer. And, like, the game just won't give you a healer blade. It's just gonna screw you up. Like, here's another tank for her. Make it work, sucker. But if you want her to be a master healer and you're waiting on a new blade to go into that healer slot to be on, because you can only have 3 active at a time. Let's say you wanted that, right? And the game just spends forever because the drop rates are so low, you're not going to get one. Well, I guess it just sucks to be you. You're going to have to live with it because the gacha system doesn't want you to. Or you finally get one and it took so long for you to finally get one that you engage it, and it's because it doesn't have any of its like skill or affinity chart leveled up, it's going to take you a while to get to that point. Like, I had Boreas, like I said, I got him very early in the game. So, not early, but it didn't take long before I had his entire chart filled up. Just by proxy of playing a whole lot it's really easy to get his up high because you could have him the whole game and he's so strong. And why wouldn't you? But yeah, between that, the gacha system is bad. A lot of the mission design is bad. Fetch quests are terrible. I feel like video games have evolved past collect 20 of a thing, but I guess not. Xenoblade didn't. A lot of the side missions are bad. Ursula's side quest is absolutely atrocious. Where it's like, oh, do you want this strong? You want this character to be at her strongest? Well, she can never be in your party. Who thought that was a good idea? Just a lot of bad ideas. A lot of bad ideas found its way into this game, and they really overshadow the good ideas. But with all that said, am I gonna pick up the eventual Xenoblade 3? Yeah. Am I gonna replay Xenoblade 1 and 2? Xenoblade 1 and X? Maybe. Definitely 1, like I said earlier. But yeah, once they announce Xenoblade 3, I'll be like, yeah! I'll be excited again. I'll be excited because Monolith is really good at making decent games that miss the mark. And, man, what does that say about us all? That I enjoy games that just miss the mark because they give me something to talk about for an hour and 15 minutes. Okay, so that is it. That is it. I'm done. That is all I have to say on Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Let's see. I guess I should plug myself. As if you haven't had enough of my face after all of this and you want to see more of my face, you can subscribe to the channel. I know I just got a new subscriber the other day. Hello to you, my friend. I hope you don't leave after this. But yeah, if you want to see more of my face, subscribe to the channel. Leave a like on this video if you want me to ramble about other stuff. I've got plenty of topics that I could vocalize about for a long time if required. So there's that. Follow me on the social medias. I'm going to have links in the description. Of course, I'm on Twitter if you want updates. And if you want to just follow pictures of me or the artwork I've been doing, I've been posting quite a lot of digital drawings that I've been doing lately, mostly just fan art stuff. I'm eventually going to be working on a webcomic. I've got some ideas that I'm kind of mulling over, and one that is going to be coming within the next couple of months. I'm actually going to be posting on probably Webtoon. Keep your eye out for that. But if you want to see my drawings, I have an Instagram account now. I only post pictures. I'm an old man as far as that stuff goes. Like, kind of get off my lawn-ish in a way. So I don't spend a lot of time there. Most of my time is spent on Twitter, but I do post drawings. So if you want to see those, Instagram is where you can go. And I've written 3 books, and I'm working on a 4th. If you would like to read those books and tell me that I'm no better than those I've made fun of today when it comes to story or character development and design and world building and things like that. If you want to just tell me I'm not good, that's fine. I don't mind. But if you want to read it and hopefully enjoy it, which is what I would prefer, links to my books will also be in the description. And I think with all that said, I think we can finally put the topic of Xenoblade Chronicles 2 to rest. I think I've spoken about it enough now where I don't have to even worry about it anymore. I can just move on. We can all move on. And I can prepare whatever I have to say about the game I'm currently... Oh, you think I have a problem with... You think I'm a prude about Xenoblade? Oh, wait till I tell you about the game I'm playing now. I'm going through Akiba's Trip, Undead and Undressed, and you want to talk about some problems. This guy's got some problems with that shit. And if you want to hear me, I probably wouldn't have to rant for an hour about Akiba's Trip, but I got some stuff to say, and if you want to hear me say it, let me know in the comments if you'd like to hear me rant about that, because I've got some words that are building. I got some thoughts that are building about that. So I think I'm gonna go now. I think I'm done. I'm gonna go put my mind elsewhere now. So thank you for listening. I appreciate you all very much. That's it. I hope you had this on in the background. Anyway, I've been Chris, and thanks for playing along.